Look before you leap. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Our proverb today for Supersize Your Business is look before you leap. What does this mean? Of course, it means this is one of those idioms or proverbs that is pretty clear in its meaning. It means consider the consequences before you act. Before you jump off that bridge like your other friends or acquaintances are doing to look important, make sure that it's okay to jump off that bridge, that you're not going to land on a rock or anything. Think before you speak, perhaps. Think before you act. Think before you make a move. Think before you make a decision. Think before you take on a partner or a project or a concern that might lead to something dangerous or unpredicted or a disadvantage for you or your business. This is actually an Aesop fable. It's about a fox who fell into a well and was unable to climb out, and convinced and was able to persuade a sheep, a little lamb, it was a goat. It was a goat. He was able to convince a goat to jump in the well after him so he could gobble it up and he wouldn't starve to death when he fell down the well and couldn't get out. Now, I don't know that Aesop fable particularly well. I'm not that well versed in Aesop's fables, but it sounds like something that a lot of people do, right? We're going along, we're walking along, doing our merry thing, running our business, and we fall into a well. We make a mistake, we have a hardship. And sometimes instead of figuring out how to get out of that well, we bring people down with us. Now, that's not always the best strategy, but it happens. Sometimes it happens. Instead, if we had been watching where we were going, we wouldn't have stepped in that hole. If we were on our walk and we were watching where we were stepping, we wouldn't have fallen and sprained our ankle. Has that ever happened to you? Well, it's happened to me. So sometimes we need to remember to watch where we're going, watch where we're walking, pay attention to what could happen. We should always be considering the consequences whenever we are considering making a step for our business, either a long-term or a short-term step. To me, hiring decisions should be long-term. I say be quick to hire when you need help, like slow to fire. Or no, I think I said that right. Be slow to hire, quick to fire. So slowly add the people that you need, but as soon as you see that there's a problem or a challenge or a mistake has been made, make sure that you cut that person loose, not only for your sake, but for their sake as well. But think before we act and think before we speak is a big one nowadays, that this particular idiom reminds me of, or this proverb, that we need to consider, and we need to a little bit of consideration before we just act, right? So many of us have become impulsive and desensitized to interacting with one another since COVID. Not a good excuse, in my opinion, but I see it happening all around us with our personal lives as well as our businesses. So how impulsive are you? Do you think that you are and then the other question would be, do you pay attention to where you're going? Do you always have, you have to have all the steps in mind from where you are to where you want to go, but you need to know what's the next step. And you need to look before you take that next step. Now, that doesn't mean we get analysis paralysis and we never take that step. We never decide. So another question to ask ourselves today is, how quick and easily do I make decisions? Am I a fast decision maker or a slow decision maker? And does it matter what kind of a decision it is, whether I'm a fast or slow decision maker? I have come to be a very, very quick decision maker. It's either for me or not. And that's kind of my bottom line deciding factor. It's either for my business, will move me in the direction I want to go, or it's not going to. If it's not going to, I don't even consider it. If it's something that could, should, or might, then I'm going to consider it. Am I going to spend a ton of time considering it? No, I'm going to go through one of my quick decision-making tools if I need a tool, or I'm just going to instinctively decide, yes, this is for me. No, this isn't. And that's as much consideration as some decisions are going to get. And then there's frameworks that we add and throw into our businesses to make decisions and choices for more complicated decisions, right? I still follow the Plan, Do, Check, Act framework or model that I learned in college. And in the quality profession, there's a framework that we use called Plan, Do, Check, Act. And they say spend 80% of your time planning and then take the action, then check and see what kind of a reaction or what result you got. And then act is in adjust. And that's a continuous circle or cycle of behavior for continuous improvement, right? Well, I have come to decide that 80% planning is absolute nonsense. In the quality function, when you're trying to make everything perfect, but you've already tested and tried things and you have a process that you're making better, I still don't think you spend 80% of your time planning. If you spend 80% of your time planning, while you're spending your time planning, somebody else has swooped in, acted on the idea, and already got a huge market share. And that means now you're running to catch up. So I guess as I look back on my life and my career, I've probably spent way too much time planning and need to get to action. Try something, do something. So many people are afraid to start. Take that action. Look where you're walking, but take the action, check and see the result you got, act accordingly, meaning either you turn it into a process because it's something that's working for your business, or you go back to the drawing board and you say, okay, well, that didn't work. What next? What now? Look before you leap. Love to know your experience with this particular proverb, this particular idiom. Have you had experiences where you've just jumped, made that leap of faith, and it didn't work out, or made that leap of faith and everything worked out perfectly? Or you made the leap of faith, like most of us, and some things worked out, other things didn't, and you figured it out along the way to get to where you want to be and where you continually wanting to go. Wow, I need my coffee this morning. All right, that's our idiom for today. Have an awesome day. If I can help you in any way, ask in the comments below. If there's an idiom or an expression that you've heard and you're like, what the heck does this mean? Where did this even come from? Why do people say that? Why do people do that? Ask in the comments below. I'd love to look into it. I'm curious about what you're curious about. Have an amazing day, and I will, of course, be with you tomorrow with another interesting idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? And how might you use it in your business and maybe in your life today? Take care.